Hello divas, dudes, and dolls, I'm Caricature, and welcome back to my titillating, tubular, and transtastic little review show, Very Slay, where we go over each and every one of the runway looks on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16. By golly, is this week's theme right up my alley, because I love 1980s fashion so much. I think it's so fun, it's so campy, it's so ridiculous, and oftentimes it's so bad that it comes back around to being just phenomenal. So I'm overjoyed and very ready to get into the looks this week. But before we dive into all of that, anyone who is new to the channel, who's not familiar with how this show works, if I think that a look gets the job done, but it's not quite taking care of business, we give it an okay. If the look is so good that it has me dancing on the ceiling, then we give it a slay. And if I straight up just don't like it, we give it a nay. And at the end of the day, when we find that one look that I think is simply the best, better than all the rest even, I will bestow upon that look the title of Slay of the Day. And that look will go into our post-crowning ranking video to determine this year's Slay of the Season. And the look that walks away with that title will ultimately get illustrated by me. And I can't wait, because I love drawing drag fashion and doing drag fan art, and I don't get to do enough of it because I'm too stinking busy. Maybe I should make a Patreon again and y'all can just pick looks you want me to draw and I'll give them a doodle. But enough about all of that, it's time to get into the looks. I remembered to be on the right scene this week. Now first up we have Plain Jane. The print on this, I actually really love, and I love this hair. What I don't like about this is the silhouette. It almost looks like she has shoulder pads on her hips. The way that the peplum on this jacket hits, it just adds a lot of bulk to her midsection when her whole thing is having this really shapely silhouette. The silhouette just looks a little too bottom heavy for me. I don't think that this is exactly flattering. I think it's a very interesting look. Her makeup looks great as always, and I think in general, she's got a great idea here. The cut of the pants is right. I love the exaggerated shoulder pads. I see the vision, but I think that had she done something that was a little more streamlined, it would have read a little better in terms of scale. Not the biggest fan of the black little panel cutout situations. It does look a little like piecemeal because of it. I just don't necessarily think that Jane's proportions fit this sort of style the best. So for me, I'm just gonna give this an okay. Up next, we have Q giving us an homage to Keith Haring and the AIDS ribbon. Now, Michelle called this too, about the polka dotted tights. I loved that she did that because my mother was somebody who would wear these tights in the 80s. And I think it's great. I think it works really well. Her makeup is really harsh, but it fits for a 1980s look. I love this dark lip. I love the pompadour. I love the silhouette, the really exaggerated shoulders. It's a very dynasty sort of silhouette. And I think the way that she turned the AIDS ribbon into this high collar and then the cuffs on the sleeves and then the train element, I think it's really gorgeous. It's really well done. It's a beautiful story that went into this look. And I think that only makes the look more effective. I'm giving this a slay. Next we have Dawn, which we have seen this boot suspender thing. We saw that in her look she designed in the ball episode. I actually really like this hair. I think this look in general still very much reads as Dawn, but this is the most different we've seen aesthetically from her this entire season. It feels very 80s in spirit and sensibility, but at the same time it feels very quintessentially her style of drag. Like it has a very signature Dawn flavor to it. And it's giving glow, it's giving gorgeous ladies of wrestling, which I really appreciate. So I'm gonna give it a slay. And I love that the like face kini situation is partially denim. I just think that's fun. Next we have my Aman LePage in this green number. I actually really like this on her. I think it's a pretty flattering silhouette. I love the glove. I love this color on her skin tone. It looks stunning. I do wish that either she had a green shoe or that there was like a built-in boot cover situation. So that way it was just like this long green extension, the full leg. I do really like the floral treatment on the shoulders just to add something of visual interest up there, just a little something extra. I think that works really well. And I like this hair a lot on her. It's a great size. And again, Maya's quite small, and this is an example of her knowing her proportions well, because she's not wearing something that's totally swallowing her up. So I think it's great, but at the same time, it's nothing incredible, and I don't see a super 80s sensibility in the look outside of the hair. So I'm just gonna give this an okay. Up next, we have Saphira Crystal. Now, this look, silhouette-wise, is definitely 80s. The skirt hits in the right spot. It's just the right level of volume. I could see this in a music video back in that time. I actually really love the cut of this too. It's super flattering on her, and the color story is great with the white pumps, with the white accents and the trim. I love that. But ultimately, what I think my favorite part of this whole thing is how kind of campy the hair is, because it's so large, it's so exaggerated, which is, you know, very 80s silhouette, very 80s style with kind of the big crimped curl. But I just love that she's got these 3 giant barrettes just clipped in there. I think when you see a look like this, it is one of the ones that immediately reads as a 1980s reference in terms of silhouette, styling, hair choices, accessories, all of that. I think this is super successful. I'm gonna give it a slay. Next, we have Morphine. To me, this is not an 80s look. I don't think it fits the theme. It looks a little too Y2K to me in terms of silhouette and where the cutouts are and just the overall shape, textiles, all of that. She's mugged. I love how glittery she is, stunning in the face, but the makeup is the only thing I like about this. I'm not a fan of this wig on her either. This is an A. And finally, we have Nymphia. Now, what I love about Nymphia's look this week, it's a very clear Grace Jones vamp reference. I got it immediately when she rounded the corner between the Keith Haring kind of print on this and the red hair and the spirals. You can see the 80s references in this, but it still feels quite modern and quite fashion forward. It doesn't feel super dated. We all know she's got a great sense of style. I love the alternating colored nails. And for me, this look really just knocked the idea out of the park. It feels like something to be walking down a modern runway. This combination of eras to create something that feels like it's almost in a time of its own is so cool. And one of my favorite things about drag and designing costumes and clothing. So to me, this is definitely a slay. And now that we've got those looks out of the way, it's time to pick our slay of the day. And I'm kind of torn because I've got a few contenders here. I'm going off of the look that I personally preferred the most on the runway in terms of fashion, structure, silhouette, overall design. To me, that look is Nymphia Wind. I loved the colors, I loved the silhouette, I loved the reference, and I loved how it brought the 1980s into a modern era. So I'm very much a big fan of it, and that look will be going into our Slay of the Season video, which will be coming in just a few weeks because we are getting down to the wire, y'all. And once we're done, I can't wait. It's gonna be like the premiere episodes for this season with like 21 things in it. Well, that's gonna be a wrap for me this week. But if you enjoyed the content, do not hesitate. Don't even walk to the subscribe button. Run to that sucker and click it. And while you're at it, drop a like, drop a comment, and give that little notification bell a ring so that way you can be among the first to know when each and every new episode of Very Slay drops in your subscription feeds. Now, before we say so long today, I just want to make sure that you all go out there, stay kind, stay queer, and make sure that your day is very slay.